Good morning, everybody. Yes, it's still morning in the central time zone. We are just shy of noon. And yes, my husband teased me again. I know you're listening to this, John, because it's like, okay, is the wifey wake up? Well, yeah, wake up means more than one thing here. And it's a beautiful Saturday morning. And it is a Taurus moon, which I could just sense. I had to check. I'm like, it must be a very earthy moon because I just feel like cleaning the house, taking care of stuff, having a slow and easy morning. And so hence our wifey wake up is a late wake up. So, but here we go. That means I haven't talked a whole lot yet. I have to warm up my voice. Okay, I have a great topic for you today. But first of all, please like, comment, subscribe. I really look forward to hearing from you on this one. Men and women alike. I think YP school is for women, but hearing from the men, whether that rings true, that resonates true for you, also in what you would like in an ideal relationship, that is extremely helpful as well. So I love hearing from the guys as well. Comment, share, and share with a friend. If someone comes to mind, please share this with them. So today's topic is you're a woman, not a small man. And you may have heard the phrase before, women are not small men. It typically is applied when we're talking about women's health studies, and that, so many of the health studies are done on the average, I think it's 5'8" or probably 5'8", 150 or 50-pound male body. And not only are there not other weights considered, but the other women, right? It's just men that are studied. And this phrase, you not know, I recently learned was this phrase, women are not small men, was coined by Stacy Sims, PhD. She's an exercise physiologist and nutrition scientist. And there's really so much in this phrase, at least as far as I'm interpreting it. It's much more than just men and women's health studies. And that's what we're getting to today. So indeed, sometimes we need to state the obvious to wake people up. So of course, right? Women are not men, nor are they small men. And however, rather than repeating that mantra, I really appreciate, rather than just repeating that mantra, Stacy Sims really went to work in doing the research. So rather than just complaining, oh, they're not doing research on women and women's health, she went about doing it. And I've been getting into some of her work recently. It's been very enlightening, especially for those who are 40 plus and in athletics, and athletics in particular. Very insightful because, of course, right, we are not small men and we go through very different stages and cycles in life. So another meaning that I think has developed from that phrase, an interpretation, is that you have to be pro-woman. In order to be pro-woman, you have to be anti-man. And I think that is just not true. The unfortunate thing is that implied or interpretation, or that implication, or just simply that interpretation that has gone out in the zeitgeist, I think has really caused a lot of harm in our relationships and therefore in our society. Now I'm going to paint a little picture here. So imagine, I just mentioned our society, but here's for an example. So it's going to sound like I'm going way off into left field or right field. I think it's left field, but ironically, right field is kind of the no man's land of the field, in baseball at least. What does that refer to, by the way? I have to look that up. Okay, so I've weighed over 100 pounds since I was 9 years old, and I was not like an athletic 100 pounds, like, wow, she has a lot of muscle, she's really tall. I was a husky 9-year-old, and no girl wants to wear husky clothes. So for those who are not aware, an average 9-year-old girl weighs about 60 pounds. So I was very much over average. And it was really difficult, but they say I guess I would say it was definitely one of those character building phases of life. And, there was a certain point that it wasn't just about how I looked, but I intuitively knew, I just could sense that I wasn't healthy. And so, in addition to wearing husky clothes, which like no other girls were wearing husky clothes. My best friend, by the way, was a skinny, we're all slim clothes. So we were quite the pair. Actually, a couple of my best friends at that time. But it was also like being chosen last in squish ball, all the gym sports. When we had to do the mile in particular for the presidential physical fitness tests, I ended up walking most of it. I always had a side ache, and I was just tired of that. I just personally, there's just something in me that knew I wanted to be able to perform and do better, but I was not athletic. Soccer tryouts were horrible. That lasted like a couple days. Soccer, that is. So I did finally settle on softball. And the funny thing is, I settled on softball as a sport because I knew I had to do something. And it was even back in the 90s, it was, we knew, of course, that you had to move your body in order to be healthy. And so soccer was very popular. I needed to choose something that didn't require a lot of expense. And I did end up settling on softball because it was very low cost. And the furthest I had to run was around the bases. And I'm like, I can do that. Even I can condition myself for that. So it was a rough couple of years. I mean, I just was terrible at it. And then there was one time in life where my uncle Bill was around for a while, for a whole summer. And he did contract work in different locations and among other things. And he spent a whole summer training me. I remember him buying me a softball glove at Kmart, and I still have it. It is like a hinge fit. So like I could actually close it. Before that, I had a vinyl glove, and it was horrible. I couldn't even close it. I'd try to catch a ball and it would, fall out. And I remember him digging into his basketball shorts, which at the time the style was very long, loose basketball shorts, and pulling out the last of what seemed like must have been the last of his change. And he bought me a softball glove that I could actually use. It was a little bit big, but it was something I could actually use at that time and would, of course, grow into. And he, from what I remember, trained me the whole summer, and I just improved so much. And that was really a turning point for me because, like I said, I was not naturally athletic. And it really took that concerted effort of training to be able to, get more coordinated, have conditioning, have even the mental and emotional toughness to play. And soon after that, I was playing shortstop, moved from outfield to shortstop. And primarily that's where I played, which is a very, very involved, active position, and had a blast. And granted, it was a small pond. I did well in that small pond, but it was what I needed at that time to really feel like I was developing myself. And however, soon after that, I'd say my early teens, I did develop an eating disorder. And that was wanting to fit in more physically as well. Because even through the physical, I did excel in the physical fitness realm, but I was still a rather husky kind of girl. And that's, not what I wanted. Anyways, long story short, it took a couple of concerned women in my life, a teacher and my aunt, expressing their concern kind of gently but firmly and directly, that kind of snapped me out of that phase. And I'm really going over this really quickly, but this is just to illustrate another, a greater point, which is okay, so where am I going with all this? At that phase in life, which I think is so common. I mean, there's a reason it's called coming of age, right? You don't already know who you're going to be. You are developing. You're continuing to develop yourself, especially in your early teens and into your early 20s, really throughout life. But those are very pivotal times. And I hadn't developed a healthy vision for myself, a sound level of self-love and respect, or an appreciation for my body, in this case, could do and what made me unique. So I was just trying to fit in and fit into the outer world, right? There was a sense of self-improvement, but it was wanting to fit in and participate with my classmates in gym on a normal basis and not always be the one that was coming in last. I wanted to be like the other girls, and at least in the sense that I could wear, quote, normal type clothes and not have to wear husky clothes and be able to wear something that was more, or just look more, quote, normal. But of course, at that age, we're more about fitting in than trying to recognize our own attributes, right? Our own pluses that are unique to us. And I think we're at that stage also for women in general. We tend to look outwardly and try to compete rather than look inwardly and go and ask, what is that is unique about me that only I or very few people like me can contribute? Like I was saying before, or illustrating the phrase, women are not small men, is very factual in the sense that, yes, we need to do health studies that are for women because women's hormones and bodies are very different from men's. But the other interpretation that comes out of that typically is also, therefore, women need to compete against men. And I can't lay out why that interpretation comes out, but I think that it has come out in our society that we are not small men, but we can compete against men. And I appreciate that Stacy Sims early in her book lays out that, there are a lot of things that men or women can do as well as men, but there are some things that they simply cannot. And she does not beat around the bush. And I really appreciate that, because I think in our striving to be like men, we've really overlooked our own wonderful attributes as women, and that we have that are very special and unique, but also very powerful. And I use that word carefully because, again, that word powerful or strength is also misinterpreted into the masculine sense. So I plan on going into this quite a bit more, but first of all, I wanted to just address this as a concept. So when I started realizing this as a concept, when I was 18, I started training martial arts, and I was introduced to the concept of attribute training. That is to strive for relatively broad training so that you're training yourself. You have a variety of skills, but also in that process, learn what are your strengths and capitalize on those. For example, if you're fast, which I definitely wasn't, build on that. If you have great endurance, which I definitely did not have, capitalize on that. If you're coordinated, I totally missed out on that one too. Train and make this an even better quality. And really what it comes down to is sometimes it's not evident. I had to dig deep and find out what my own attributes were, or even singular attributes, and make that a strength. And what that becomes also is it becomes your secret weapon. Now, I don't know how many of you women are, watch sports, but particularly like mixed martial arts, which is not the same training that I've done, but or similarly, a football game, they will study the opponent, see what their strengths are, what their weaknesses are, and plan the strategy around that. And that's what we as women need to get back to. Know what are our strengths as women innately and capitalize on that. Not trying to be men, because we automatically put ourselves in a weak position when we try to compete directly like a man, and without recognizing our own attributes. So that would be like an opponent, someone who's fast, knows that their opponent is, let's say, has really good angles and can move around them really fast. So, but that fast person trains to improve their angles. Now, that's smart to a certain degree, but they need to know how their fastness, them being fast, can overcome that person who is angular. And it's so abstract at times, but then once you see it, it's so clear. And what I'd like to emphasize is that women have really forgotten that they have secret weapons. And it's not the weapons that so many of them think that are their secret weapons now, right? Maybe a sassy attitude or even their super sharp intelligence. It's how you utilize those skills, those attributes that are the true secret weapon. And this is a deep topic that I plan to get into much more. What I want to clarify is that these are not weapons. When I say secret weapons, these are not like artillery or lasers or drones type thing, like really weapons that are meant to do obviously physical harm, or maybe that's not obvious, or really cause harm overall. When I say weapon, I mean that you are someone that is so respected, someone knows, really looks up to you, respects you so much that you don't even have to reveal the weapon. They know and sense that you have this sense of feminine strength that is so strong, but it's without threat. It's without a sharp edge, but it's sharper than any sharp edge. It's stronger than any punch. It is so uniquely feminine. And I hope to reveal to women your true innate strength that you have in yourself that so many have been turned away from, are totally just can't even recognize, don't even know these days because it has been like brainwashed out of us. This is something that I had to rediscover and am so, I don't even know if I have the right word. Excited is not it. Once you discover this, it's absolutely astounding and amazing. And it's stronger. It is that grandma who lifts the car off of her grandchild because of the incredible love she has for that child. And it's not a weight competition. She wasn't trying to be stronger than any other man. It was because of her love for that child that she's able to do it. I think many of us have heard of such a story. And that's the kind of strength that I'm talking about. It's not a strength of competition or of overcoming or even leveraging one's own way. At the sake of over explaining it, I'm going to leave it there. And we'll look forward to talking much more on this topic because it's really difficult to explain as well, because it is that feminine nature. It is subtle, but it is so strong. It's absolutely amazing. So have a wonderful day, everybody. Take care. Make sure to give this a thumbs up, like, subscribe, share with a loved one that you feel would really benefit from this. And have a terrific day. Take care. See you next time.